Cheers to Britney.
To wet ass. Let's go.
Hey guys, so story time. My partner and I recently came back from traveling. And we had a lot of fun traveling around, making memories.
Like the good old days, just living in the moment, not a cell phone in sight.
But there were times where we actually did have to use our phones. Like looking up stuff to do where we were, or using our maps to find out where we were. And while there were times where the coverage was spotty or non-existent, the worst part came whenever we got home and saw our bill with all the roaming charges. Needless to say, the next time we travel, we're gonna be doing things a little bit differently. And that's where today's sponsor comes in, Saily. Saily is revolutionizing how we stay connected when traveling. And it's not just another travel app. It's your passport to hassle-free internet connectivity no matter where you go. No more searching for local SIM cards at the airport or dealing with unreliable Wi-Fi. You can set up fast internet service on all your devices from the comfort of your own home. And if you're passing through multiple countries, they've got you covered with global and regional plans that can cross borders. With coverage in over 180 different countries in 8 regions, you'll always have access to reliable service. And it's super easy. No manually swapping SIM cards in and out of your phone. You just download their app and make a few taps. And if you have any issues, they have 24/7 customer service and will refund you if your phone isn't compatible with their system. And to make things even better, we have a special deal for my audience. Just download the Saily app or use the QR code on screen and use my coupon code at checkout, MADDY, and get 15% off. So say goodbye to travel headaches and hello to hassle-free connectivity with Saily. And now, onto the video. Hi guys, welcome back to Give It To Me Straight, the most toxic show on YouTube. I'm your host, Morphosis, and joining me on the show today is the world's #1 Britney drag impersonator, all the way from America's Got Talent Season 3, Drag Race Season 8, All Stars Season 5, and many, many other appearances, Derrick Barry.
Thank you.
I
love that.
You do get around though. You've been like all kinds of stuff.
I have been very blessed to have the opportunity to do as much as I have. And I was always checking boxes as if life is a resume, right? So I wanted more content and more opportunities, and I was taught in high school to audition for everything because you never know where it will take you, and it's still true to this day.
This is what happens whenever you don't say no. If you're just a yes man.
Always.
Yeah, it may lead you like in a gutter behind a Wendy's or something, or it might lead you to international fame.
Exactly. I lucked out.
Speaking of international, you're about to be doing Work the World again.
I am Work the World.
International leg.
I've only done a kind of swing spot or a fill-in spot for previous Work the Worlds. This is my first time where I'm on the ad and I'm like starting the tour and ending it we're doing Europe, Australia, and Asia. So very excited.
Insane.
Yeah.
And I was looking at like some of the dates too, and like you start like in April, like April 6th. I'll put like the dates here if you guys are in Europe, Asia, Australia.
Yep.
But there's like a leg where you start in London and you travel all around Europe, and it's like 6 days in a row, back to back to back.
I know. That is terrifying. But I'm used to the 5 days a week with 6 shows at Drag Race Live. And since I moved to Vegas, I've been doing shows 6 days a week. So this is going to be the same exact formula.
Yeah, I don't know, maybe I'm just built different. Maybe it's my adult asthma or something, but whenever I do like just 2 gigs back to back, I'm like, I need to go home. I need to rest for a month.
But hopefully some of it is a bus, because that's a lot easier. You're not going through TSA and baggage and
Yeah, because whenever you go through TSA, they take your chicken cutlets away.
My chicken cutlets, and they take my knives.
Oh yeah, the new thing, the knives, because the Britney era.
I know. I'm crazy. I'll try to check anything in my carry-on.
Just to try it, just to see. You've always been a risk taker. You didn't get where you are by making good decisions. Why start now?
Absolutely. We know I don't make good decisions. The haters roast. So yes. Bad
well,
decisions.
that's a whole nother like podcast in and of itself, I feel. I will say, like, to your credit though, like I feel like you are someone that you don't ever look back at something and try to like kick it under the rug. Like you feel like if something cringy happens, you lean into it. If something embarrassing happens, you're like, yeah, that was me, crazy kooky Derrick.
I have to.
Yeah.
At this point, I've realized that all these years that I tried to be perfect or perfect the craft, it's where I f up that people actually embraced me the most. And that's when I get called relatable, or I am Derrick, or Derrick is me, like all these things that I might not have really resonated with people as a Britney impersonator, especially in the Drag Race realm. But when I do something crazy, they're like, oh my God, Derrick's the best, love him. So I'm just like, whatever happens, I'll take it.
It's literally like when Britney came back from like her like hiatus and she was like dancing, twirling knives on TikTok and stuff. People loved it.
Loved it.
On all levels except physical, but also sometimes physical.
Yeah.
You are Britney Spears.
Yeah. Well, I did put the knives in the show, and I sell them as merch. I signed
Yeah,
them.
yeah. If you guys haven't seen her at Drag Race Live, she's twirling with the knives and everything,
Yeah.
but at a safer distance.
Yes,
So.
and they're plastic.
And they're plastic.
Yeah, ching ching.
They're rhinestone though.
They
Right?
are. I start with the regular ones, and then in the finale, I bring out the rhinestoned ones because it's a metamorphosis of knives.
I see what you did there. But I feel like maybe they were giving me the cheap seats or something because I never noticed the rhinestones. Maybe I'm too far
really?
back. I never sometimes I see people that get like house seats and they're like right up front.
Yeah.
And I'm like, they never give me those seats.
Yeah, those. You know what though? The ones closest to the stage
Discrimination.
is they're looking up our nose. So I think the first row of booths and even the second row of booths
Yeah.
are the best.
Well, it's like with how often you do the shows, like, was it like 7 shows a week?
6.
6 shows a week? You know, after a while, if you're sitting in the front seat, you're going to see the stubble.
Oh, yeah.
It's going to start peeking through.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
Especially on the double Friday shows. Mm-hmm. Because I'm like shaving at 4 o'clock and then meet and greets at almost midnight, you know? So it's a 8-hour shadow is trying to peek through. It's Groundhog's Day.
That's why it's nice for me. Like I just sit in my room and I get to control the filters. You know, Yeah, I don't blame it on the edit. I control the edit.
I love it.
Yeah.
You're very soft though.
Thank you.
Very doll-like.
Thank you. Yeah. I actually just shaved for the first time in like a month. I feel.
Really?
Yeah, just for this.
Wow.
Yeah,
thank
you're welcome. Well, because last interview I did, I was out of drag, and so yeah, I haven't had to shave in a while. I had to shave around my belly button for you, just in case it peeked up.
It is a full body shave.
Well, it's like I only shave the parts that are visible, so it's like Mr. Tumnus right now. So it's like a lot of it's shaven, but then like I have like hairy legs and hairy underarms.
I love it.
That's my truth, and that's how it's how I go through this world, and that's valid. But no, like I said, it's crazy. You are like this international superstar performing on stages all around Europe, Asia, Australia, around the world in general. Mm-hmm. It's a long way from the stages of UStack. You know,
Oh my God.
long way from Harem Scarum.
Harem Scarum. Oh Lord.
Was that your first performance on the stage?
It was, and it was 7th or 8th grade. I don't even remember anything about that one because it was so long ago. And I feel like I've put things that matter more in my brain. Like high school was where I really got into theater. I think Harem Scarum was more like improv type things. I don't even really remember what we did, but it was in the auditorium. We didn't have a theater.
You don't remember the role you played?
I don't.
No, I think it was.
I don't.
It says Oliver.
Oh my God.
Or
is it
Olivia?
really? I don't know. I really don't know.
You suppressed it.
I did. I did. Hey, I haven't thought about Harem Scarum in years.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, that's the role that I'm, as far as I know, is a role or roles that you did. Because whenever I saw it, it said Oliver / Olivia, and I was wondering, did you do like a 2-part thing?
I guess I did.
Was that like your first time in drag? Was that the debut of Derricka?
I don't know. No, Derricka was 6th grade.
Oh, 6th grade.
So my friends dressed me up on Halloween, which is funny because Halloween 03 is where I did Britney. But Halloween must have been 95, I guess. I was 12. If that's 6th grade, I can't remember. Maybe it was 94 or 95. But they just did pigtails in my hair and put makeup on me. And I wore my best friend's mom's like little, I don't know, suit. I don't know what it was. And I remember we went up to a door because obviously we're trick-or-treating and knocking. And they opened the door, and I was kind of like the leader, and I was with all my girlfriends. So they're all pretty, and they're girls. And I remember one of the guys saying, oh, all the ugly girls are coming out now.
Oh, no.
And I'm like, oh, God. And so then I thought maybe I can't do drag because I don't want to be called ugly. But it was also like very Vera de Milo with like the pigtails.
You're taking horse tranquilizer with no side effects.
Yeah, crazy.
I feel like a lot of the stars were aligning for you. Said first time in drag for Halloween, and obviously first time as Britney was Halloween, which we'll get into in a little bit. But you started hitting the theater, you started getting the bug for that, and you were actually voted most likely to be famous in high school.
Yeah, I know.
And sure enough.
That was crazy because I wouldn't say I was popular in school. I had a lot of friends. And as I got later on in school, because I was doing all the productions, I think I got a lot of notoriety for doing theater. And so I was shocked that that happened because I was like with the captain of the football team and then this prima ballerina that was modeling and then my best friend who was very popular in in high school with everyone, like the cheerleaders and the football players and drama. She was very popular. But we were together in drama, and we have known each other since second grade. Her name's Danae. And she was voted most likely to be famous as well. And so that was like very exciting that was something that we could have together.
What were you doing in the theater that was making you such a standout?
I was crazy. Like, I was just nuts.
Nice.
I was all over the place with voices, impersonations. I was never afraid to be different. And I wasn't out, so it wasn't like, you know, I'm the flamboyant gay at school. But I think I just was authentically myself, even though I couldn't really be.
Yeah, until you weren't. Until you became someone else.
Until I became someone else.
Yeah.
Who was way more popular.
Yeah.
Yeah. But I guess people just, I think they just liked that I was kind of crazy. Like kooky, you know?
Classic Derrick.
Just not a real person.
Well, like, what were you like? Were you like, you said you weren't out, which we'll talk about in a little bit, because like I feel like your journey in drag is so interesting, you know. But like, what were you even like as a kid? Like, say you're kooky, crazy, or
I always wanted the spotlight.
describe little Derrick to us.
Oh my God, he's so cute. I
like,
love him. This was kindergarten. And that is my real smile. Like, that's my happiness. So I loved taking pictures, clearly.
just a ham for the camera.
I just loved it. I wanted to be famous. I wanted everyone to notice me. When we had a video camera, I would basically like put on shows with the video camera, or I would direct or write or produce, whatever that was when I was a kid. And I made my brother do things too, which he is not at all like me. He is straight with kids and married and very shy. And I made him even do things in our productions, which was fun, like improv stuff.
I feel like that's a little bit of a little parallel overlap between you and Coco, because she also forced her siblings to do like plays and stuff in the living room. She was more of a director, more of a curator of the production rather than the star of it.
I liked to make it, and then I liked to be in it. Like, I had to be in it. There was definitely never a time where I'm just like, okay, and you're getting the starring role, and you're, you know, the whatever actress.
Whenever the credits rolled, you wanted your name to keep popping up, like,
Absolutely,
all the way
first,
through
all
it.
the way. I did the lighting, I did the sound, I did whatever. Like,
just like random things that weren't even there. You're like boom operator.
Right,
You didn't have boom
exactly.
mic.
No, not at all. Scenic design.
Yeah, it's your living room.
Yeah, exactly.
So you go through school, kooky crazy kid. You ended up leaving school, and like immediately after school, you moved to LA.
Yeah, I did a year and a half of college in Turlock at Stanislaus State, and I was on the dean's list. I was in theater. I was a theater major, music minor, and I knew that I had to go to LA. Like, I wanted to go to LA right after high school, and the people that were supposed to go with me canceled, or they can't do it, they can't go, whatever it was. And so I had met a girl at Cold Stone, and she was a year younger, and she wanted to move to LA. And I was like, oh my God, I want to go. She's like, let's do it. Let's go together. And so she took off like the next 6 months after graduation. And then we moved in the beginning of 2003.
Okay. So whenever
Together.
you moved to LA, so you said, I have to move to LA. Did you have a
had to.
plan for what you were going to do when you got there?
I just knew this is where I have to be because it's the city of dreams, right? It's where things happen. And I was very confident that I was going to be famous. Like, I just knew I just have to get there, and then someone's going to notice me, and then the rest is going to take care of itself.
Yeah, in the city of like 7 million people, you're going to get clocked immediately.
Yeah, and the problem with moving to LA and trying to be an actor is that I would do meetings with agents and managers, and they would say, you're cute, but you look like everyone else. You know, you're like boy next door. What else is there? And it wasn't until I found drag that I was like, oh, this is the standout. Because nobody was doing what I was doing at that point. Like, there wasn't a Britney. I didn't know anything about drag, but I just knew Britney is so hot. Why isn't there a Britney drag queen? You know? So
Yeah.
it just happened.
I think too, because like a lot of drag, it's, you know, they gravitate towards these pop divas, but it's not always like right with on the pulse of what's happening. A lot of drag queens, they build these characters, so it's like they're doing characters from like 10 years ago, 20 years ago, or more.
Yeah.
You honestly probably paved the way for a lot of queens that now like they are immediately doing the next pop star, doing Charlie XCX numbers and stuff like that.
Yeah, I saw Ariana's come up, and you know, that was very exciting to see a new generation of pop divas to be impersonated. You know, and I think Snatch Game helps that too. You got to find one that fits you, and sometimes those are characters that people will end up taking on the road because they're so popular.
Yeah,
you know.
I think now though, drag is so focused on like expression, people doing like their own thing. That like the impersonation art or someone just having their career being a character, it's not very seen. It's not near as popular.
No.
Do you think it's like an art that's kind of died? Or do you think that's just a natural evolution of drag?
I think that with drag coming to even Vegas with Drag Race Live is the first time that we've seen drag race celebrities sell tickets. They didn't have to be someone else. So it's definitely changed the landscape of impersonation shows in Vegas, at least. And I think that around the country too, if it used to be, who do you do?
Yeah.
Who's your character to get booked? You know, like, oh, I do Whitney, I do Diana Ross, I do Cher, you know, all these characters, and then that's how you would get booked. Unless you were in the pageant scene, you know, then that was a whole nother thing.
Yeah.
But now in Vegas, it's crazy because there's billboards and ads, and it's the Drag Race girls that are advertising the show. It's not a character. So it's kind of cool to see Work the World moving in that direction. You know, like this one time we get to see the celebrity impersonators.
Do you think if like Drag Race, you know, eventually RuPaul retires, the show starts to kind of fade away, do you think stuff like Illusions is going to come back?
Absolutely.
Or you think so?
Yeah, I think Illusions will always be a part of drag culture. And Vegas will always have some sort of impersonations. I don't know to what degree, but I definitely think like how Showgirl shows come and go, drag shows will come and go. So if Drag Race isn't on the Strip, we still have Drag Brunch on the Strip that just moved to Hard Rock. But I think that what's going to happen is when that changes, it will reopen opportunities for new things to come.
But I know, like, you obviously became famous through your Illusions, but it came from very like humble beginnings, because your first time as Britney, it was shortly after you moved to LA. It's for Halloween.
Yeah.
You just dressed up as Britney. What was it about that night of just dressing up for Halloween where you're like, this can be something, this could be a moment?
It was when my girlfriend was driving and she got into a little car accident because it was raining. And I walked into a restaurant that was like candlelit and beautiful. And I just wanted to go in there and go to the bathroom. And so I walked in, and I don't know why, but I just started singing You Drive Me Crazy a cappella. And everyone like cheered and stood up and was clapping. And I felt like I was part of the entertainment there. And I don't even know the name of the restaurant. I just was like...
You're just singing to the restaurant, and then everyone clapped.
Everyone stood up and clapped. And it was wild. I thought, how is this happening? And that's when I knew I have to do something with this.
Then shortly after that, you and your friend, you camp out at the Tonight Show. You get tickets, you go inside, and you get noticed. This is your second time as Britney.
Second time in drag, yeah.
And you get noticed. We'll put a little video, because I'd pull it up on my phone, but you've already seen it.
Yeah.
But a million times, I'm sure. But yeah, a little video. You were in the audience.
Yeah.
They noticed you, clocked you, pointed you out and everything.
Yeah, it was wild.
So how did you go from that little cameo appearance on this Night Show to your first gig as Britney? Was it because of that?
It was that same night. So on Halloween, same night. On Halloween, I had seen Mickey's, and I didn't know anything about Santa Monica Boulevard. I just knew like this is a gay strip, you know. And we were down there on Halloween. So then on the night that Britney was on the Tonight Show was November 17th, which is crazy. It's RuPaul's birthday, which I think like ironic the stars kind of aligned. But I went back to Mickey's and I said, Britney's coming out with an album tomorrow, and I think you guys need a Britney. And so they directed me back to Chad Michaels, who was in the back getting ready, and I didn't know who he was, but I knew he looked exactly like Cher. He did not have a wig on, but I was like, oh my God, it was shocking.
You're like, I met Cher and Britney in the same night. That's crazy. And everyone clapped.
Everyone clapped. But I remember he handed me his business card, and he had the blonde hair on in the business card, like Living Proof album. And I just thought, I want to do what he does at that level. So I wanted to be in the show, and he's like, how old are you? And I said, I'm 20. And he said, well, you can't work here tonight because you're underage, but I can set you up with college night, which was Tuesdays. And so I came back the next night, so my third time in drag, and I got hired there. And that was kind of my training ground, was Mickey's, which was, I didn't know how iconic it was then.
Yeah.
I just knew that this is a big deal.
You just walked into like a gay bar and you're just like, you guys do shows here. You need me.
You need me. Yeah.
And they booked you.
And I picked Mickey's. I don't know why it was Mickey's. I was a big Disney fan, so that's maybe something, like I just related the name. Not that it had anything to do with Disney, but I think I just liked the vibe.
After performing for Mickey's for a while, you get an audition call for Lacage in Vegas to do Britney. And you were only at Mickey's for like, was it a year and a half?
Not even. So I was at Mickey's from November to, I want to say April. But in February, I got a call to do Miss Congeniality auditions. And Britney was written into the script. So I went auditioned for that. And then there were a couple people that I was up against. And then I didn't really hear back. They had me sing, they had me dance, they had me do like, acting things. I don't know if originally the Britney was supposed to be like the Dolly character, or if that changed or not. But I had also, in that same time, because of the Miss Congeniality audition, there were members from Lacage there. And they went back to Norbert Alamán, who was the producer of Lacage, and they said, I met a Britney. And his exact quote, his name is Brent Allen, he does Bette Midler and Judy Garland, he said, I don't know if he can walk and chew gum at the same time, but he looks like her. And I love that because I don't remember even talking to him or seeing him, but he saw me. And so then that got back to Chad, because Chad used to be in Lacage in the late 90s. And then Chad kind of like set it all up. So I call Chad my fairy drag mother because he's really the person that orchestrated a lot in setting things up for me. And the rest I did. Like I had to show up, I had to book the gig, but he was the one that kind of like put me in that place.
It was definitely like meeting Chad was definitely right place, right time type thing.
Yeah.
So the timeline of events here, you never done drag before. You graduate high school.
Yeah.
A year and a half later, you move to LA with no plan.
No.
That you're going to be famous.
No plan.
Dress up as Britney for Halloween, and then pop up on the Tonight Show.
Yes.
Are performing for like a year, and then all of a sudden you're cast in a drag illusion show in Las Vegas. So like 2 years after you graduated high school, you are now a Vegas showgirl.
Yeah, I wasn't even 21 when I moved here, and I was in a show.
That's insane.
It was crazy. I remember my mom and stepdad drove me to my audition, which was in April of 2004. So I had maybe done, I would say like maybe a dozen shows at this point, because I was doing every other Tuesday. So maybe a dozen shows, and I get the Lacage audition, and I have no idea what I'm doing. Like, no hips, I have no tuck. I have a outfit that I basically made from the Dollar Tree stuff and Joann's. And here I am auditioning in front of these icons that have been some doing drag for like 30 years at this point. And I have a wig out of a bag that I put on my head. And I got the gig, but I remember the producer saying that I was a diamond in the rough and he was going to get me to shine. And that was a pivotal moment. Like if I didn't have the opportunity, then I don't know what I would have done staying in LA. I don't think it would have evolved as fast as it could, because when you're thrown into a show 6 nights a week, it's wild.
Yeah.
Like you have to be better. You have to become a better performer, a better makeup artist, a better illusionist all the way around, because you're being forced to do that.
Yeah. Going into the drag scene, like I said, it happened all so fast for you, and you didn't have the typical entry point and journey in drag that most people do. Did you ever feel like this sense of like imposter syndrome, like in the drag scene?
I didn't really feel like I was in the drag scene because in Mickey's, I was the only performer. So I was kind of the only one. There were I wasn't in a drag show. And so when I moved to Vegas was the first time that I was actually working with people. And so I guess I just felt like I was in kind of like a drag academy, almost like drag college. And I was learning from the best in the business. So I never felt like I'm Britney. I'm becoming her. I was taking on the biggest role of my career at that point, is kind of how I looked at it.
So you looked at it almost more like you would like an acting role or something like that, not so much this is my drag persona and my expression and yada yada.
Not at all, because I loved taking it off. Like I loved getting out of makeup at the end, and then we would go out. And when I turned 21, it was like a whole another world opened up here, and that's when I fell in love with Vegas for real, because I was not planning on staying. I was going to do 6 months in the show and then go back to LA or go to New York because I just wanted more.
Yeah.
So, and
that's crazy.
20 years later,
yeah,
still here.
So, but like whenever you started doing drag and doing all these travels and everything, the whole time this is happening, you actually had a partner at the time that was a woman.
I did. My roommate, that I moved to LA with.
Whenever you were doing all this, at this point in time, you were probably the most successful straight drag queen in the world.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like honestly.
There was one that was like married with kids that I had heard about that was doing drag. I don't remember if that was Christopher Peterson or there were names that kind of like were thrown at me because it was shocking to people. Like, oh, there's only one other person that's ever been straight that does drag, But I was young and my girlfriend and I were still figuring out who we were. And now she's a lesbian. So we really both like... It
was a lavender marriage and you had no idea.
Yeah, it was one of us was a beard for the other one. We're not sure who was doing what.
So what was her reaction to all this at the time? Because like both of you didn't, or did you even know? Like, do you have inklings of like who you were under the surface, or were you really just trying to figure it out?
I did know when we auditioned for American Idol. We drove down to LA before we moved in '02, and I had told her, and I don't know why, but I had told her that I thought Justin Timberlake was hot. Like, I don't know why it even came out. I don't know what we were talking about.
Was Britney dating him at the time? Was it like...
Or they had just broken up?
Maybe so.
I don't know. I know that's crazy because I wasn't even impersonating Britney then. But I just loved pop. And Justin Timberlake was so hot to me. Like, he was the one, right? And I don't know why I was telling her that. And so she ended up telling me like, oh no, he is hot. And she's like, I get it. Britney's hot. And so then I kind of realized like we were very similar, where we just had no problem telling each other that the same sex or opposite sex is beautiful. And then we were just friends then. But I liked her a lot. But I feel like I had to tell her that. I don't know why, but I'm glad I did because obviously later that played into her understanding where I was coming from when I'm like, I'm taking this gig in Vegas. I want you to come with me. She wanted to stay in LA. And then I thought we were going to make it work. But at the same time, we were kind of like ready to spread our wings and do our own thing. And we were way too young to ever settle down with each other. That never would have happened. I was 20 and she was 19. So, and it was our first real relationship with each other. So a lot of firsts.
Yeah, a lot of firsts. And a lot of firsts happening very quickly, back to back.
Yeah.
It seems such a chaotic, 3-year period.
It really was.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So what was the reaction in the drag scene at that time? 'Cause like you said, they knew of a couple straight drag queens out and about, but at the time you were the only one. And you were at the level you were at as well, performing at Mickey's. Yeah.
Well, people didn't really believe it. And it was so fun because she loved being out on college night because girls came out. And so we would have our girlfriends there. Our roommate was coming out with us. Friends would come. And so we're just dancing. I'm dancing with guys. She's dancing with girls. We were just young and having fun in the nightclub after my set. But I don't think people really understood what was going on. You know, we were kind of like together, but it wasn't something that we were really talking about officially, you know, because it was work, you know, and I kind of liked the mysteriousness of it all. And that was in a time where kind of if you were taken, then your fan base is limited. So I kind of just let people think what they want. Like, this is my roommate. Some people knew it was my girlfriend. Some people didn't. You know, so I don't know what people thought.
You weren't even concerned with
I
what
was
going
not.
through other people's heads.
No.
Like, I'm just doing my thing,
Yeah.
taking every opportunity that comes my way.
Absolutely.
And everyone clapped.
And everyone clapped. And she understood it too. She got it because she is a musician. And so she also didn't want to be in a relationship that was known because then it kind of limits things, you know, for her. This is back in the early 2000s where you didn't want to have a partner in the business of any kind, acting, singing, dancing. Like it did limit opportunities because then people didn't think that they could sleep with you.
So you didn't even have like a formal like coming out. It's more kind of like just finding it through the scene and then just living it and just...
They did do for National Coming Out Day, my first year in Vegas, they got me a cake and they put a crown on me and like a fur foxtail, you know, wrap, and the cake said, "Come out, Derrick." Which was so cute because I had already had like a guy that I was dating, but not everyone knew about it. But they all knew, like, you can't be straight.
Could smell it on you.
You can't. Yeah. They're like, there's no way.
Yeah.
But I didn't know what was going to happen with my girlfriend at the time. I didn't know if she would move here, I would go back. It was all very up in the air.
That's why I never came out. No one ever got me a cake. I wasn't treated with the same reverence and respect.
Oh no, I need to get you one.
So, no, it's too late. I'm not. I have to get my ROI on this one now. I've already invested too much time and money.
And now you're wifed up.
Yeah, too shacked up, too far gone. Again, like with this timeline, you're doing all this stuff so fast, and it's shortly after in Lacage for a while that you auditioned for America's Got Talent.
Yeah.
And you actually had to quit your job or got fired from Lacage because of it.
I did.
Were you not worried about job security because of it? Or?
I was, when I moved here, I told my producer that I wanted to do film and television. So he already knew. And I had gotten the part in Miss Congeniality the same week that I was moving here. I was supposed to film that. And so he basically said, well, if you're coming, you're coming. Like, I can't wait, you know? I've waited for a Britney for 2 years. So I'm like, okay, I'm going to just stick to Vegas. Like, it was planned. I was moving, whatever. Miss Congeniality too, sorry. But at that point, I was like, well, in the future, I'm taking off for film and television. So I had kind of had approval, like, ahead of time. And it wasn't until I did the Today Show, and I wasn't allowed to say I was in Lacage. They didn't want me talking about it because I was supposed to be Derrick Barry from Modesto, California. And so I can't really say, hey, check me out in Evening at Lacage in Vegas 6 nights a week. They wouldn't let me say it. So my show manager and producer were upset about that because here they thought I'm going to go plug their show, but I'm also going to New York on NBC's dime with AGT. So it's like, well, I can't. If you want me to go on the Today Show, you got to pay for it. You know, you got to send me out if you want me traveling and promoting your show. And so that's kind of where it was like, okay, well, you can't do this anymore then if you aren't going to promote the show. And so I got invited to the finale of my season, and it was on a day there was a work day. And they said, well, if you go, you can't come back. And I said, well, I'm going. So I'm not coming back. So I'm giving you my notice today.
So it was because, but you weren't even competing in the finale. So was it
No,
just going?
it was just to go.
You risked losing the
Absolutely.
opportunity just to...
I did.
Why?
Because I was there for 4 years and I was ready. And I knew what was happening. The cast was very upset that I was getting time off. When we were filming Vegas Week, I would do the show. I would film America's Got Talent at Planet Hollywood. Then I would come over, do my number, just my one Britney number that was like 3 minutes, Toxic into Slave for You. Then I would go back to film. So I didn't even do the finale, which was just like a curtain call. It's not even a finale number, but it's just like come out and wave and, they say your name.
Yeah.
Well, they couldn't believe that was happening. Like, how is this kid getting all this special attention? Like, why we can't have any time off and yet you're giving him all this time off. So it was creating conflict within the cast. And I knew that it was only going to get worse. And I thought if I stay, I'm going to limit all my opportunities.
Yeah.
And I couldn't do that. So I took that as a ultimatum, and I was like not having ultimatums at that point in my career. I was so ready to do something else.
Well, with America's Got Talent, it's not like a guaranteed thing after the fact.
It's not.
So, like, what was your plan? Because you're like, I'm leaving behind this opportunity.
Yeah.
Like, where were you planning to land?
I thought that I was going to go on tour. I thought they were going to take some of the top 40 on tour. They ended up taking the top 10. So I'm like, oh my God, I'm so screwed. But Britney ended up coming out with Circus. And I didn't know what I was going to do.
She just descended from the heavens like a guardian angel with an new album.
She did. I was booked non-stop. I would come out for like little club spots here and there, but this was my first time doing a little tour. And the reaction was wild. I could not believe that this fandom was there. And it was because Britney was so captivating at that point. The last thing they saw from her was like, give me more. And then all of a sudden she's got the Womanizer video out and Circus and the album's dropping and she's performing on Good Morning America and she was doing X Factor and she was like out there.
You definitely bet on the right horse being a Britney illusionist.
I know. For a while it was very
like, thank
sad.
God I didn't do Duffy or something like that.
Right. For a while, I thought, what's happening to my career when things were going in a different direction for her. And I remember being at La Cage thinking, oh my gosh, what's going to happen to Britney? When she was going through a really rough time in the media. And so when this happened and I had left La Cage and I just like blew up, I was getting booked for private parties, corporate events in Vegas. It opened me up to a whole new thing. I performed with Terry Fader and sang Oops, I Did It Again with his live band at the Hilton at the time. So it was all these doors opening up that never would have been able to happen had I stayed at La Cage. And I just knew it's now or never.
It's just, your life is just a series of right time, right place.
It is.
Like, even whenever you make some crazy decision, like, I'm just going to move to LA with no plan.
No plan.
I'm just going to go to the Tonight Show, pop in. I'm going to leave my guaranteed gig in Vegas. And every time you stumbled into a better opportunity.
Better. And I think that is literally the power of positive thinking and manifestation. And I didn't even know what that was back then. People talk about The Secret and how the law of attraction and all these things. And I was just living that. It was never a question in my mind. Am I going to make it? Is this going to work out? It was, I thought it and then I created it and then it came true. And it's just, that is kind of where I've always lived in my mind. And I think that there's a lot of power in knowing what you're going to accomplish.
So with America's Got Talent, did you just not manifest hard enough?
I didn't. You know what's crazy is the same thing happened on AGT that happened on Drag Race. And it's when I got...
You started self-doubt?
No. Well, that too. I was like, what am I doing here? But no, when they brought Neil E. Boyd, who was the opera singer, and me forward, because we were in the same round, and one of us was staying, one of us was leaving. And Neil had a great sob story. He's a big guy that did opera, that was a fantastic singer. Everyone's rooting for him, dark horse. And so they're bringing him and me up, and I'm like, oh my God, Neil's going home? And obviously he didn't, I did. But the same feeling when I was paired up with Bob, I was like, Bob is leaving? Knowing Bob was the winner.
Yeah.
Like, we knew while filming Bob was the winner, but I think that it's not delusion. I think it's like, in my head, I'm winning. No matter what, I have to.
Well, I mean, the track record speaks for itself.
Right.
At that point, I would be too.
Yeah. So I'm like, it's got to happen.
If I stumbled,
I got to make it.
If I stumbled into so many things the way you did, if I'm in the bottom with Bob, I'm like, oh my gosh, I can't believe I'm beating Bob.
I can't believe Bob's going home.
I get it. The dilution makes sense.
Yeah.
Like,
I've now understood, like, when things like that happen, I'm like, oh, okay, I get it.
yeah.
But that's also why I don't like the competition-based shows anymore. I really like living in the Untucked Live or touring, anything that is a show, but not a competition.
It's like entertaining, creating content, but not like the pressure of like a contest.
Exactly, because I don't do well in that. I don't think that I'm a likable competitor because I think that I get very in it. And then all gloves are off. And then the thing is that I'm always feeling like people don't think I belong there. And then it's fight or flight, right? And so you're telling me impersonators don't belong in Drag Race. Well, then I'll tell you why you don't belong here. When really there's space for all of us, but it's really hard to get beaten down inside the community is wild.
Yeah, it's so interesting because you do go through life with so much like positivity and such like a positive mindset about things. And like I feel like you look at the world, you look at people and assume they have good intentions and mean well. But then whenever you went on Drag Race, it's like gloves are off.
Yeah.
And it's such like a different energy than what I feel like you normally give off.
It's not me.
Yeah.
I don't know what
something
happens.
awakened in you.
It is the Tiffany New York Pollard. Like, I watched Flavor of Love before I left to film. And that, I channel her, and I knew going in there, like, it's going to be rough. Because I just knew people are going to have an idea of what I do and everything else that I can't do. And I did struggle with believing in myself there. It was hard. It was a lot harder than I thought. I thought I was just going to go have fun, flip my hair, and be, sexy Britney as Derrick, but give that pop star energy. And then they really, put me in challenges that I'm like, oh God, no, And then there were other ones that I loved. The political challenge with Bob. I got to let go and I got to say crazy things about Bob and he said crazy things about me and we won. So that moment, besides the opening of the show and doing like my entrance and the photo shoot, the political challenge was the next best time for me there because I felt like we won. I knew we did.
Yeah.
I remember walking in the room and I was like, well, we just won. And I'm like covered in blood, and they're like, why? And I'm like, there's no way anyone else did what we just did. So we won. And that was the confidence that I needed the whole way through. But confidence because of doing well, not confidence because I'm cocky because I think that I just am better at something than other people.
I think a lot of the negativity that you were receiving, obviously because Bob was such a fan favorite and you were reading each other. Yeah. But I think that the fan base forgets that you didn't have your Mariah Carey. So what else can they expect from you? Yeah. You're like a cornered animal.
Yeah. I know. People don't, they never will understand until they're there. And the show seems so easy when you're watching it. Yeah. Like, oh, how could they not do that? Or how could they not remember those lines? Or how could they not make a better outfit? Well, everything's limited. Everything with time is limited. So it's all scary.
I feel like everyone that watches Drag Race, they're like, I don't understand why she's like that. It seems so easy. It's not that big a deal. All those people have never read the Stanford Prison Experiment. Yeah. They don't know what it's like when you're isolated and trapped in this environment. It messes with you. It's hard.
It does. And you don't know who to trust in there. Like Naomi is a great example. I thought Naomi was so sweet off camera, like always hugs in the morning, hugs at night. And then she like really didn't like me. And I didn't know why. I didn't do anything to her, but it was because of outside influences that, she was told, oh, he's not very good. He just does Britney. That's not drag. And so she's a 21-year-old impressionable mind. And here I am 32 and she has a certain idea made up about me because of what other people have told her. And so we didn't even really get to know each other on the show. It wasn't until after that we became such good friends. And now we look back on that time and like she can't believe who she was. I can't believe who I was. And I wish I could go back and be a mentor and be nicer to her instead of reading her in the beginning or, you know, like being shady catty, because I came from a dressing room where that's just what we did.
I think something that also sets you apart from the other drag performers is that you have a very unique relationship in the eyes of many. I think Q is probably one of the only other queens that I've talked to that it's in like this long-term polyamorous relationship. So what was it like for you? Because you were with Nick before. He was your first partner.
I was, yeah. I met Nick in 05, and then we got together in 07. And then we met Mac in 2012. So it was our 5-year anniversary celebration. Some people get rings, other people get other boyfriends.
Right. You didn't just stack them every 5 years?
No, God, no.
No?
I only have a 3-bedroom. I don't have any more room.
No.
One of them's my drag closet.
Oh my gosh. So like, what did that conversation look like for you guys though? Like bringing in like a third person, because you weren't looking for a third.
No, we were experimental, but only with each other. But that was with exes on either side or friends or whatever. So when we met Mac, we met him together. And I think that that's what kind of separated it for us, is that we had no history with him. He had just moved to Vegas. He had only been here for a month. We met him at my ex's, which I say is the best gift that he ever gave me. And so he was just tall and beautiful and funny, witty, confident. I remember I had just gotten back from New York, and so I was showering, and I came down the stairs, and I remember Nick saying, "How tall are you, like 6'5"? And Max said, "Yeah, baby." And I was like, "Oh, yeah, baby. Okay, this is fresh." Like, what did I walk in on? But that's just how Mac talked to people. You know, he was confident. And so he didn't know us. He didn't know we were together. He didn't know what I did. He didn't know what Nick did. He just was out, you know, for a night with friends. And then we kind of like joined them. So we hung out a little bit here and there. He came to my show. And then after we went to see Coco at Crave, and she had a Janet Jackson show, and Mac loves Janet, so he like went from my show to riding with Janet Jackson to the nightclub, and he was like, "What is this life? Vegas is crazy."
He hung out with Britney and Janet the same night.
I know, like
day. Yeah.
for free.
Yeah.
You know, so I think that was a turning point for him, that Vegas could be exciting. Like, this is one thing to go out, and then it's another thing to go out and kind of be VIP, whether you're at a show or a nightclub or whatever. And so I think that he was having a lot of fun. And he's actually the one that sat us down and asked us to be his boyfriends, which I thought was very brave. And anyone kind of coming into a relationship, that's a big ask, because normally the two partners will kind of be the driving force of what's happening here. You know, like, oh, we're bringing in a third, or you can hook up with us and then you have to go. Or, you know, I don't know the rules of it all, but I just know that takes a very confident, strong person to ask two people in a relationship for 5 years to be a part of it. And that's when I knew that this wasn't casual for him. It wasn't casual for us. Nick and I had talked about it. Like, we obviously didn't want him sleeping with other people. We weren't hooking up with other people. And so it was just effortless. You know, it just kind of happened organically, and all of a sudden, you know, we're together. And then Mac moved in about a year later. He waited a while. And I'm glad he did, because then you know it's real. You know, it's not like, oh, jump in and I'm going to live with you guys.
It's exciting.
Yeah, like we dated. You know, we definitely had our time that was fun and romantic and getting to know each other, and he still had his own space in case it was too much, you know, because I don't know what it's like. We were established. Nick has his art room. We had a guest room that's now my closet, and then our bedroom. And so he didn't really have a space of his own at our house. And so I think it was nice for him to have his own space to go to, you know, and he likes to sleep in the middle, which is crazy because it is so hot in the middle. Even in the winter, I'm like, it's a heater next to me. I can't. I tried the middle one time and I'm like, get me out of here. So we all have to have our own blankets though, which we can't have like one bedspread.
You guys are all just in the bed. Looks like a sleepover.
Yes.
You also have your own tiny little
blankets. We all
blankets.
have our own blankets that are all like queen or king size blankets. And we all have our own pillow. And it is so funny because if you see the bed made, it's like three blankets on it. So it's like Goldilocks, you know.
Yeah, but it's one bed. And it's just right.
And it's just right.
And everyone clapped.
Everyone stood up.
Yeah.
Everyone was at full attention.
Oh, not that. It took me a second on that one. So whenever you invited this person into the relationship, though, did you have reservations that maybe bringing a third person would be bringing in like a wedge essentially between you and Nick?
I did think that, because Nick is very sensitive and I am a little more, you know, outgoing and talkative, and, you know, he's a little more shy. And so I was concerned in the beginning that one of us was going to feel left out, or, you know, the relationship could change. But really, they kind of spent more time alone together because I was at work. And we kind of created this rule in the beginning of, you know, only hook up together and be hands-free so you're not, like, getting off on your own because you got two people to help you with that. So that was kind of something that helped save the sex life in the beginning, you know, which I think is important when you're first dating someone.
It's like setting like a lot of boundaries. And
Well, you kind of have to because one of us was always at work. And so it's very easy to just hook up with the other one. And then that is not really kind of what we were going for. So that people didn't feel left out. And then it obviously changes. As time goes by, you're like, oh, whatever. Like, I'm so tired. I just got home from work. You guys have at it. You know, but in the beginning, you want to make sure that everyone feels included. And, you know, no one wants to be at a threesome and feel alone.
No one wants to be the kid that has to walk on the grass because only two can fit on the sidewalk type thing. But I'm more interested in, like, from like the emotional aspect of it, because I know for me, like, I don't have any reservations against, you know, people that want to be in like open relationships or polyamorous ones. But I personally, for myself, I can't imagine giving myself the emotional attention required to multiple partners. Like, do you feel like it's more relieving to have another person to rely on emotionally, or that it feels more taxing having to divide your attention for two people?
I do feel like it has given me peace of mind, especially when I was traveling a lot with America's Got Talent and the Circus album. Nick was at home a lot, alone. And so I remember feeling like I wish Nick had somebody because he couldn't always come with me. And so when Mac came along and I was still touring and, you know, always traveling, it felt really nice that Nick had someone to be there and to feel like I had someone holding him accountable. You know, not that I didn't trust Nick at all. That's never been the question. But it was just nice to know that my boyfriend, who I care about, had someone else that he cared about and that could keep him company and that could still feel like he is, you know, living a life not deprived of love. And sometimes I would be gone for days, weeks at a time on tour. It just depended. And of course, when I got to take Nick on the road, amazing, like, great, that's incredible. Or now Mac gets to travel with me as Nebraska. So we have all been able to go together as well. But it felt good to have someone for Nick and know that he was taken care of, you know.
It wasn't. It was less of you felt like you had to divide your attention to these people, but more so like I can't give my attention, so I feel
Yes.
relieved because someone else can.
Yes, that's exactly how it felt. And I was fine being out on the road alone. And like, I don't need to hook up with people. Like, I don't, it's not necessary for me.
You're not a flower that needs a lot of water.
I'm very dry. Yeah.
Right.
I'm from the desert.
Yeah, the DAP.
But oh my God, I love that. Yeah, it just, for me, I just loved having someone for him, you know, and I still do.
How long have y'all been together, the three of you now?
It will be 13 years in March.
Damn, 13.
Yeah, and Nick and I will be 18 years in March.
In that 13-year period, was there ever a time where you felt like this isn't working, like the three of us?
There's definitely been times where I thought that, oh gosh, never that I wanted to be alone, but there's definitely times where I felt like maybe Mac needed to find something else for himself, you know? And it's never happened. It's never, you know, came to fruition. He's never moved out. But I just thought sometimes this city is really hard for drag queens. And it was hard for him to find his place, especially like he started at Drag Brunch and then he started traveling with me and then didn't really have a spot to go back there. And then he was never really welcomed into the nightclub scene here as a performer. And so opportunities have come up and then he's taken them and it's great. And then that, you know, that door closes because the club or the night or whatever has changed. And so I just thought for some time, especially what happened on Vegas Review, like he was definitely the odd one out, feeling like he wasn't a part of the group, the clique, and feeling iced out from the cast on Vegas Review. So I just have sometimes felt like he might not be happy here. And I would always want him to be happy. If that means it's not Vegas, it's not Vegas. You know, Nick's family is here, is very different. Nick loves Vegas. I work here consistently. I love this city for the opportunities it's brought me. And I think that Mac is still finding what that is for him here. You know, what is Vegas for him besides us? And he will constantly tell us, if I didn't have you guys, I wouldn't live here. So I know he's staying in Vegas for us, but I just want him to feel like he's getting the opportunities that he wants. You know, there's been a lot of modeling opportunities and he's taken them and it's great, but I feel like he wants more, you know?
So any concerns that you had were less about, you know, the typical struggles of like a polyamorous relationship and more so of we don't want to feel like we're anchoring this person down.
Yeah, because I want him to still chase his dreams. And I never want him to feel like he's staying in Vegas for us.
Yeah.
You know, I want him to stay in Vegas because he loves it, not just loves us. Those are two very different things.
Yeah.
You know?
You, I think, have I think of all the people that I know that are in polyamorous relationships, I think you are in the longest term one that has been successful. Yeah, 13 years and 18 years, that's a long time for even just a regular relationship.
Right.
Much less with like a third, which I know it's like very difficult for a lot of people.
Yeah.
What advice would you give to people that are interested in a possible relationship like that?
Well, I think that it comes with not looking. I definitely feel like if you're trying to find this, you're not going to find a long-term one. You're going to find random hookups, or you're going to find things that, you know, are fulfilling for a moment. But for us, it was not looking that brought us together. But it was being open to it. So it's a lot of communication. It's a lot of trust. It's a lot of conversation about making the other person feel included all the way around. You know, you have to love your partner, and you have to embrace new beginnings with someone else coming in. So it's very confusing, you know, and that's why it's not for everyone, because it does, you know, walk that line of, okay, well, are we getting someone new because we are bored or tired of each other? Or are we getting someone new because there's new experiences to be made
Yeah.
and feel whole as 3 people instead of 2?
Yeah.
You know? And I know that I am not looking for a 4th, nor do I need one. So that's how I know that this is satisfying enough.
But you also have a bad habit of saying no to opportunities.
I know.
So if you guys think you might be a good fit for them 3,
I've always said we're only looking for an investor.
investor. So you have money and are
If you
looking
have
to be
money,
a 4th.
If you have a 4-bedroom house,
Yeah, and you
we're
don't
interested.
Mind, if you don't mind sleeping at the foot of the bed because we don't have room otherwise.
yeah,
bring
get your own room.
BYOB. Bring your own blanket.
True.
What was your response from your family though? Because obviously your family is super supportive of you, and I'm sure they were supportive of like the drag and you moving and pursuing everything. But you know, a relationship like that is probably scary for like a lot of families.
Yeah, it was. I think anyone that kind of had a religious background at all, whether it was my family or Nick's family, it was a lot to take in. And thankfully, anyone that kind of wasn't on board or didn't understand it has seen it last. And I think that's the true testament. Like time will always tell. And so they have seen us be happy together. I remember my mom and stepdad came out for my 40th, and Nick and Mac did like this big celebration in the hotel suite and had a cake and gifts and balloons and all these things. And I remember my mom hugged me that night and she said, "You are so spoiled." And I said, "I know, and I love it." Because she saw it. Like, you can't help but see the love and the adoration and affection that we have for each other. So I think once our families saw that, I was very lucky because my younger sisters are extremely progressive. My younger brother, my dad is very supportive of everything I've ever done. And it's really nice to have everyone kind of come around. If it didn't happen in the beginning, that's okay, because it is shocking. You know, it's one thing to be doing drag, it's another thing to be gay, it's another thing to be in a throuple. Like, I'm hitting them with a lot. You know, for my traditional family members that...
You're like a toddler testing their limits, see what they can get away with.
Yeah, I'm always touching the stove. Like, is this too hot? You know? So I think that that's one thing that they've kind of realized is it's not going anywhere. And so embracing it is going to benefit them the most, instead of not understanding or not being supportive, because then that's just kind of going to put them out of our life a little. It's kind of like, if you don't like what's on TV, turn the channel. And that's kind of like how I feel about our relationship. If you don't like it, then don't watch it.
Yeah. What do you think the next thing you're going to hit them with is? The next bombshell?
Oh, God.
You're going to be like Wiccan or something, or I don't know.
Do what?
Be like Wiccan or something. You're just like, oh, we're pagan now.
They're not shocked by anything I do anymore.
No.
Like, honestly.
They
like,
become numb.
Yeah, numb. I guess if I transitioned, that would be the
Ooh.
next... That would be the next shocking thing for them.
Why not? You're still young.
I did tell my dad one time, my uncle was there, it was a show at Roscoe's in Chicago, and I said, well, I was going to transition and Grandma and Grandpa were going to pay for my boobs. And my dad's like, what? They were going to what? And I couldn't even keep it. Like, I couldn't handle, I had to laugh. Because it's like, that's the last thing that my grandpa would ever do, is pay for my boobs. But I just love shocking people, obviously. And that was so fun to have my uncle and my dad in the same room in Chicago where they grew up and say something outlandish like that. And I was very close with my grandma. And I feel like if I did need money for surgery, she would probably have found a way.
Deep pockets, that one.
I was the little gay entertainer. She would have wanted me to have my boobs.
You have a big family, don't you?
I do have, yes. I have three stepsisters from my stepdad and my mom. And then I have a brother from my mom and dad. And then I have 2 sisters and a little brother from my mom and stepdad.
Oh my gosh.
So
that's so many.
It is a
siblings.
lot. And I didn't realize, but you know, like stepsisters are one thing. And then I realized that, like, when you say half brother, half sister, it's kind of offensive and sad. And so I try not to do that because I've never want them to feel like they're half of me or I'm half of them. Those are my sisters and my brother. It is a very big family of a lot of support. And so I do feel like no matter where they came into my family or how they came into it, they all came in with love, you know? I think that's very important.
Oh, what a lovely little beautiful note to end on.
Yeah.
Well, I think it's a perfect segue because we're at the end of the interview with last of my questions, last of my cards.
Oh.
But I wanted to get you something thank you for coming in today. And as we mentioned earlier, you do go through life with such a positive mindset. You know, I've never seen you post about things that you hate.
No.
But I've seen you post about many things that you love.
Yeah.
And among that list include Glee, McDonald's breakfast, Chevron gas stations.
What?
You said Chevron is the prettiest gas station.
It is.
Yeah, but of all the things you love, there's obviously one thing that you love more than anything in this world.
Oh, no.
I mean, you can guess together. What does Derrick love more than anything? Let's all say it together.
Oh, my God.
Britney Spears.
Britney
No, it's the
Spears.
Taken movies.
Oh, my God. I love them.
The Taken trilogy. I got
All three?
all three of them.
I love these. Liam Neeson. This first Taken movie is probably the most suspense. I love suspense thriller. Like, if I could be in any movie, it would be Taken because
You want to play the daughter?
I do. Like, take me and find me.
Yeah.
Because what a hide and seek thrill.
Yeah. That was fighting
This
for
is
his
so
daughter.
cool.
People were killed.
That was fighting for his daughter. People
were
were killed. People were killed,
There's,
actually.
Again, you posted about a lot of things, and a lot of things make sense. But that's the one thing where it's like, I don't think you posted about any other movies, but I've seen you make a post about each of the Taken movies in some capacity.
Because I'm obsessed with them.
Yeah.
And not every sequel or trilogy is good. Like, usually the first one's the best. They're all good. Like, when his wife gets murdered.
No spoilers.
Oh, yeah, sorry. Well, I mean, you should have already watched these. They came out a while ago. I can't believe these are PG-13.
Are they?
They feel like they should be R.
Oh, wow.
They are terrifying.
Yeah, I guess so.
Oh my God, yes, spy movies, so good. They came out 3 years apart. Oh my God, this is like for real, you know me.
Yeah.
Yeah, I would say that before these, Ransom was a good one with Mel Gibson. And I remember I saw the movie and I was crying in the theaters. I saw it with my aunt. And
Ransom?
Ransom, yes, with Mel Gibson. So good, so scary. And I said, oh my God, what happens if this happens to me? What do I do? And she said, oh, honey, your dad doesn't make enough money.
Like, you just die.
Yeah, you're not, no one's going to take you. He had one McDonald's. And I guess you have to have several McDonald's to be taken for ransom. This is so cute. I love it. Like, the boys are going to love this because they know how much I love these movies.
Yeah.
Oh, it's so cute.
Again, like, it's the only like piece of media I think you've ever posted about. And each time one came out, you talked about
obsessed with them.
how great they were.
They really are. He said he's too old to do action movies now, which I hate that.
Oh, wow.
I know. I'm like, where's Taken 4?
Yeah.
That would have had to come out in 2018.
Where my new Tooken at? Where my Tooken?
Taken.
So outside of watching the Tekken trilogy,
I love that.
outside of watching the trilogy with your trilogy, where can people find you? What do you have coming up? You're doing Work the World coming up pretty soon. April 6th, you're traveling all around
April 6th will be the kickoff in
London, I think.
Europe. I think London might be the midway through.
Oh, maybe so.
April 6th is the kickoff in Europe, and then we go to Australia for 4 shows and Asia for a couple, and that ends on May 2nd. North America, South America, I'm assuming will all be announced later this year. This is just the, other side of the world leg. And then I'll still be making appearances at Drag Race Live. We have a 1,000th show coming up on March 15th, which is crazy.
That is crazy.
I can't even believe we've done that many. So I will be there celebrating that. And then we have Untucked Live Season 2 coming out on WoW Presents Plus
is
this
that out
spring. Season 1 came out last spring, and then this spring is Season 2. Same cast returning, except we have, instead of Pangina Heels joining us, we have Nymphia. we have Nymphia Wind, and then also Mirage will make appearances as well since she's swinging into Vegas live. And then I have an album coming out this spring that will kind of tie in to the episodes released
Gonna be singing?
for Untucked. Very exciting because the only thing I've really done prior to this was Boom Boom was my first single with Chris Cox on my season, after my season. And so this whole album was kind of something that came about when Mackenzie was writing for ideas for an album of mine. And so we have incredible songs that are club bangers. There's one that's called Blonde that I love. There's one called Nobody Was Killed. There's one called Ecstasy. Heart High. Oh God, I know I'm forgetting some, but it's going to be about 7 tracks or 8 tracks. Flaunt It will be on there, which has already been released, but it will be a re-release. And we're going back and forth on names. I'm thinking Hey Derrick. I love that one. I love Nobody Was Killed because it's also a title
Classic.
of a song.
And so your favorite song was, you said, Blonde.
Yeah, favorite song, probably Blonde, Ratings, and Nobody Was Killed. Those are like my favorites. And all of these kind of throw back to moments in my career. There's another one called Wrecked and Tangled, which kind of plays on Rectangle Girls of the World. So it really is going to be a nod at my Drag Race career and kind of the moments that I have found myself in some sort of chaos or drama.
You should write a song dedicated to the OG girlfriend.
I know.
Call it Beard.
Oh my God, Beard. That's just me after a few hours.
Yeah. Well, speaking of facial hair, all the Drag Race girls, whenever they go off and do like their music careers, they all like grow their facial hair out. So what do you think in the mustache, like a rosé?
Absolutely
or a
not.
mohawk? No.
No, I think this is going to be drag. It's not drag music.
You're just gonna stick with the stuff.
I
with
think
the
I'm
five,
going
the 5 o'clock
yes,
shadow.
Yeah,
Okay.
it's 5 o'clock somewhere all the time on my
That's
face.
the name of the album.
5 o'clock. Yeah. No, it's only my shadow. Just kidding.
Oh.
That's too Britney. Yeah, we don't know. We're going back and forth with names, but I'm just so excited to finally have these songs out. I know Blonde was something that Matt kind of came up with, and all these were after my season. Wrecked and Tangled, Blonde, Ratings is a newer one that he wrote, but these are all songs that are really playing into my character. Not Britney related, but Derrick related. And so I think it's going to be super fun to do my own music, and it's still club pop music. Like I can't get away from that. I love it.
You're like, this is like, this is not Britney. This is like, Derrick is finally gonna come out. I'm gonna be my own artist. It's gonna.
Oh yeah. There's definitely some Mays in it because I just love the pop May. You know, I love that. I love that it's May instead of me. I always will. That's very Max Martin.
So to sum everything up, you're gonna work the world, other side of the world, North America, South America, to be announced.
Yeah.
You have new music coming. They can catch you at Drag Race Live still.
Yep. I'll also swing at Drag Brunch.
Drag Brunch at the
Yep.
Hard Rock Cafe. It's just
Yep.
moved in Vegas.
Just moved. Had a lot of fun there as Senior Frogs for years, but I'm excited for the girls to have a new home and to fill in with them. So yeah, it's a lot. Like I love to work.
Yeah.
I mean,
booked and blessed.
I just love to do drag.
Someone's gotta keep that roof over all them heads. It's a lot of mouths to feed.
It is true, you know.
Well, that's where they can find you. You guys can find me right here. Make sure to like, comment, and subscribe so you don't miss any upcoming guests. And join us next time whenever we have somebody else. Yeah, till then. Bye, guys.
Let's go.
Yes.
Oh God, I never looked over at that one.